Hey fam, what's going on? This is Jessica Pickens. Welcome to Pickens Realities, our Blended Family Truths podcast.
And we're back. I gotta stop playing so much.
We never left.
It wouldn't be you if you weren't you.
My socks match your sweater.
Why? Thank you.
Sweater socks.
I mean, I feel like we're all in a little bit of coagulation today.
Not coagulation. Look it up.
Word.
Look it up.
Gosh. Welcome.
Look it up.
Welcome to Pickens Realities.
No.
Look it up.
I don't know why
Blended Family Truths.
Yeah. Where we talk about blended family matters because blended families matter. Look at us catching on. Woo!
Calvin, you're so proud.
Okay. He's so sick of
Look, he like, why did they keep...
every episode they say something about me?
Right. He like, I ain't got nothing to do with this. And you see he ain't smiling. He like kick rocks.
It's like disobedient
He
people.
really-
You don't talk about.
Wait, he like,
Trying to
I
get
don't...
on with his job.
I don't want people to know that I'm associated with y'all. All right, here we go.
On to bigger and better things. Yeah, so this episode, we are going to be speaking to... Oh, hold on. I am the greatest of all time. If you don't already know, by now, this is like the 80th episode. Actually, number 10, 12,
Girl,
13.
you is way off. This is
17.
like 16, I believe.
I was close. But
15 or 16.
if you don't know already, I am
20 or
the
22.
greatest kid of all time. And
She's just so humble, y'all. So humble.
I really am. Like, if you ever meet me in person, you'd be like, oh my gosh, like, is that you? And I'd be like, yeah. So there's that. Who's this?
I am Jessica. I am the mom, the wife of the Pickenses family and all the people. That's me. You just realized that you had the blink up.
Y'all, next episode, if I come on here with some black eyes.
Why you got that blank cup?
Y'all, it'd be a lot figuring this stuff out, but okay. She literally was like, I have a blank cup. Is that whole cup blank?
I am the father that started all this hot mess. Yeah.
Block it.
So.
And the truth comes out, people, because he's been swearing for multiple episodes that I started it. But see, the truth will make you free. See there?
No
Oh,
shackles.
that went deep.
Oh. What we got today?
Okay,
Marsha?
so we are going to be
get into
speaking
today?
about their father and his life and how his life impacted who he is. So we're just going to dive into it. Okay. So share what it was like growing up without an active relationship with your father, and how you think it shaped your views on manhood and responsibility.
Wow. One thing that I have come to realize, so we're going to go present and then we'll back up. One thing that I've come to realize is recently that I've been in a blended family my entire life. Mm-hmm. The absence of my bio, and Mom, Jess, whatever I'm supposed to call her, says this all the time, that she had a hole in her heart for her dad. Mm-hmm. I had one in my heart for my dad as well. And there were some very hard things that happened. I was living with my grandma. It was Christmas time. And I was waiting for him because I spent a large part of my childhood with my grandma, and she lived in close proximity to him. And I remember for Christmas, I wanted whatever the gift was. And I waited for him, and he didn't show. Mm. And he lived at that time less than, no more than 3 miles away. Mm. And I played around his house, in his yard, all the time with my bonus brothers and sisters. And as we've grown older, they're just my brothers and sisters. So it was challenging to see them be able to get in his car and ride around, be able to go out to dinner, be at church with them, and I was excluded. And unfortunately, my dad, passed away a couple years ago, but it was difficult. There was a hole that I was trying to fill and figure out why was I not good enough? And in the same token, and maybe we'll talk about this or not, but I also had at the same time a bonus dad that existed, which I had not met yet. So it was a strange time for me. And it, in both instances, I said to myself, I will not be who they were. I wanted to be present for my children.
Which brings me to my next question. Do you think your dad's absent?
And we don't know what our questions are. So this is it's always kind of interesting how they just kind of play into one another. But go on, I'm sorry.
They do. You want to know why? Because chemistry.
We're scientists.
I call it the Holy Ghost, but go ahead.
Move along.
Do you think your dad's absence influenced your decisions and behaviors as a young man and father? If so, in what ways?
And I apologize. I was being comical. Do I think? Say it again. I'm sorry.
Do you think your dad's absence influenced your decisions and behaviors as a young man and father? If so, in what ways?
So yes, and again, remember I had a bio and a bonus, and I learned a lot from both of them, and so I kind of became a mesh or a mishmash, whatever you call it, of both of them. For my bio, I learned that I always wanted to be there for my children no matter what. Always.
Because the pain that you experienced from him not being there for you.
Yeah.
I didn't want your children. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have always, regardless of if you all had been with your mom or me or whatever, I wanted to make certain. An active parent. Sleeping on the porch outside your house if you were not with me. Whatever it was, I wanted to be.
I wouldn't be that active.
Right.
To you.
Let's not take co-parenting that far. That's a little, let's not do that.
Yeah.
But.
So I wanted to be there for them. And then from my bonus dad, who's also passed away, I learned to always keep a job and always do your dirt on the side. And I'm just, again, that impacted.
We're both like.
Listen to me.
Yes.
If a little boy or girl come out of the woodworks talking about, I'm your sibling.
Well, let me
clarify. Have to see me.
Like,
no,
forget everybody else in this family.
Let me clarify.
Let
me clarify. Not dirt as, sleeping around or anything like that. But he taught me how to be an upstanding citizen, but also be out in the street. That's what he taught me.
Okay.
And so I learned from
book and street smarts, basically.
Yeah, book and street. And then from my bio, I learned subliminally what not to be.
Well, you also, your story. Because, when by the time I met Dad Billy.
Right. By the time you met him.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's
later in his years.
Yeah. So
I was like, let me be quiet.
We had been in, because it's my story. We had been in communication when Eric turned 3 was the first time he and I.
And how old were you?
I don't know how old I was. I was 21. 21, 22. 23-ish.
When you first had communication with him?
Well, no, that's the crazy thing. I have known him my entire life. I saw him frequently, all day sometimes, all summer when I was, in the area that I grew up in.
Because you would sometimes interact with Derek and Barb.
So let's relax for a second. My dad is from Brownsville, Tennessee. Brownsville, Tennessee is about this big.
Yay big.
So everybody know everybody, and everybody that don't know everybody know somebody that know them. So it's very small.
And everybody knew my dad.
Right.
Literally.
Right. So that's what he mean by because he not in Chicago going over to the South Side, going to play in his dad area. No, like they were in a very
Well,
small.
and then you had the dynamics of, because your mom had you when she was young, you were raised
By your grandma?
and your great aunt
Yeah, I mean, and
primarily.
yeah, and mom was
primarily
around. Don't get it
for-
twisted. Mom was
right.
around.
Not that she just ghosted you. No,
Yeah.
I know, but again,
She's like, I'm out.
when you're- you know,
So yeah, it was an
again,
So
small
you've
town,
known
and most
him-
people are related.
Right. So you know
Uncle, cousin, brother.
brother. So you've known him, but you said the first time you've interacted with him. So interacted meaning like actually had a real conversation with him.
yeah. Again, we would talk in passing, or he would see me and give me a couple dollars, but not really able to peel the onion. And there was a few times.
Can I? I want to interrupt you. What year? What year range was this when you were growing up around him, seeing him in passing?
So
Let me help him do his
so I
math.
can recollect from the time I was about 3 to 5 up to this point. I mean, I was always around him. Again, my dad's a farmer. You know, the entire family, cousins, nieces, nephews, brethren, whatever you want to call us, we all lived in the same general area. And at one point, my great aunt, my grandmother, their brother, cousins, first cousins, second cousins, we all lived on the same plot of land. I mean, the houses were in extreme proximity to one another. I mean, there was probably, and I could be over exaggerating, but there were, many acres that we all just kind of lived on.
Like 4 or 5 acres type deal?
4, 5, 10 at the max. The whole family was right there. And then my dad lived like down the road, not a tenth of a mile. And then there was his house, his sister's house, if I'm thinking correctly.
What,
Their
Grandma Billy? Or Aunt Billy?
No, she
No.
lived next door to. I'm talking about Aunt Dale.
Okay.
That was Dad's sister.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm remembering
'Cause
correctly.
you remember Cousin Real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
his mom.
yeah, so they lived next door to one another. Their daughter lived next door to them, and then there was another family member that lived next door to them. So everybody was literally a stone's throw away.
Had the block on lot.
Right. So
So-
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so you can finish your interaction with him. The first.
So yeah, it was always in passing, like I said, and then when Eric was 3, I was in my early 20s. Your mom and I were still together. I struck out. I called him and I'm like, hey, I'm coming down. I don't even remember how I communicated to him. But we get there, and it was a very odd conversation. We're sitting on his truck because he loves trucks, and Eric had just discovered strawberries. His eyes got that big. My dad got him some strawberries, and his whole face was sticky because he just kept eating them. And he also discovered a water hose because he kept shooting us with it. So my dad and I are out there, and it was extremely odd, the connection that we made, because everything that I was doing in my life, he had done in his, and it was very eerie.
And that shit, you came from his balls.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
sorry, but it's bound to happen. Yeah.
so, I was involved in church. He was he had been a deacon for many moons. I was trying to become a carpenter. I like to build stuff. That's what he did. So there was a lot of things that we talked about that he had done or that he was, that I was becoming, and it was reassuring, but it was mind-blowing all at the same time.
Which brings me to my next question. When you finally connected with your father in your 20s, what emotions did that bring up for you? How did it impact your perspective on fatherhood?
It kind of helped solidify what I was doing, because one of the questions I asked him was, why weren't you there? What happened? And his response was, I don't have a good answer, but I just wasn't ready, to be who you needed me to be. And there were a lot of other things going on. He was
He had a
married.
separate family at
Yeah,
this point.
at this point, he had a separate family.
So you were like an outside child?
Yeah,
Because Uncle Derek.
so watch this. Watch this. I'm technically an only child because my mom, my biological mom, and Grandma Zola only had me. TT Kim, Shayla, Nicole, we all have the same mom, but they have a different dad. And then Uncle Derek, TT Barb, TT Renee, they all have a different mom as well.
So you're an only child as far as with your bio mom
Yeah.
and your bio dad. From that perspective, the only kid that
Yeah.
the two of them had together.
That's what I said. So while I was talking, I thought about something. One year when my dad did give me a gift, it was an orange and black Schwinn bike with the banana seat. I'll never forget it. That was my prized possession.
A motorcycle?
No,
Bicycle.
bicycle. I was like a kid.
Schwinn. Bicycle.
That's what I said, Schwinn bicycle.
I didn't
So,
I'm thinking of a Harley Davidson. You were all giving you that.
well, we did have dirt bikes and stuff in the country.
Yeah.
So he brought this bicycle to me, and you couldn't tell me nothing. And I was like, and so the year after, I moved to Illinois with my mom and Bonus dad. Brought the bike with me. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's cold." Nobody has seen this orange and black Schwinn with the banana seat. Had it 3 days. Somebody stole it. I was devastated.
Piece of your
Devastated.
dad.
Because that's the only thing that I have had from him at that time that solidified the bond, the relationship. And so when that got broken, I was just, and even from that point moving forward, I still didn't have real interaction with him during that, until I became an adult. So
That's really sad because it's like, dang. It's like finally being able to get something, and then it's like, dang.
yeah.
And then it's snatched from you. Yeah.
So I didn't go ahead.
So that, because, two episodes ago, me and Mom were having a conversation about her upbringing with
Mom
her
and I.
father, or the lack thereof. So I wonder if there was ever something like that that's happened to you, where your dad finally got you something, or acknowledged something, or gave you reassurance for something. It was just like stripped away from you.
I can't say that I had an example similar to that. It wasn't like that. The one thing that my father did for me, not to me, for me, that meant the most in a way that he didn't even verbally express, but the action itself showed his deep love for me in a way that actually it burned Teresa's bridges so bad. She was so upset about it.
Like jealous, upset, or like oh.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, because, and just kind of hurt because I'm the middle and she's the oldest, but I say more hurt. It wasn't, but it was like, there was
a sibling situation.
Like there's this thing, how all of us know that Dad and Barbara's relationship was just different, right?
Yeah.
Like Dad and Barbara, Dad's young, your Auntie Barbara, his youngest.
That's his baby.
That was their relationship and their bond was just different. It was kind of like, even though my dad wasn't active, me and him, we just had this thing. Again, I keep calling it a soul tie, parental child. I'm like, we just had, man, my dad, one of his prize possessions
I know this story.
was a 1978 black Trans Am.
That TA with the T-tops.
What are
And
T-tops?
the fire, you don't know what T-tops are?
Y'all young whippersnappers.
You don't know what?
Oh,
No,
God.
maybe I know what it is. I don't know what the name is.
Prior to sunroofs,
Okay.
T-tops
Were the things that go all the way?
No.
No,
You actually, there's clips and you take them off,
take
and it
them
looks
off.
like a T in the middle of it. So they
Okay.
slide it. There's two of them.
Is this that
And they come
car
off.
that you had in that one picture, and you had bangs, and you was in the driveway outside of somebody's house with Jaylen in a car seat
No.
or something like that?
No.
Or that car was red, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that was my car.
I'll
That was
show
my
you a
Honda
Trans
Accord.
Am later.
Okay.
But my dad had a 1978 black Trans Am that I'll never forget the first time he came to show us this car. It was like, man.
And
you
she's
know,
been a
and
car
this,
fanatic
It was like
since.
the
Well, I've been a car
Lamborghinis of cars.
Well,
back
it
then.
was just, it was a hot rod. You know what I'm saying?
Like how the older BMWs were.
What you call it in the Bandit? Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an old movie. Go watch. You'll see. So he's driving a Trans Am, right? And so anyway, they run. It has a huge motor. So anyway, when I was in
15.
college, he taught me how to drive like when I was like,
We learned how to drive when we was like 11, 10.
you know, well, and I haven't grown since I was 11, but when I was 13.
Sister Big
body
Bone.
type.
You know, so I wasn't
Okay.
quite as thick,
You got a
but I
friend.
have not grown
You
height
do
wise
now.
since I was 11. So, but he traded that Trans Am in on a car for me.
Ooh, the tea.
I ain't even gonna lie. TT Teresa was
And
valid. Because I would have been like,
He was absolutely livid.
The tea.
Dang.
Like, because she had, you know, like we both
She didn't have a car?
started. Well, no, she had. We both had. So
I'm a
like
text
she
her.
had started.
What about the new car?
What she had started. Waitressing. We both worked in high school.
come out of the Holy Spirit
Don't do my
and get
sister.
Holy Hood real quick. With
Not Holy Hood.
So
God bless you.
she had waitressed and worked, and she had saved, and she had bought her own.
That does
feel
feel
first
like a slap
car.
in the face, though.
And I had one car that a boyfriend bought on a credit card. That's a whole nother story. At the age of 18. But it was a little Ford. My
Venmo.
first car was a
Got
little
it on
Ford
Venmo.
Escort, but I took that car and sold it to someone, and my dad traded this car in on. That's the red Pontiac that I had, that I took and tricked
Okay.
out and had red bone 2 across it, and this, that, and the other. And I actually had a car note because I was in college and working. But my dad, when I asked him, I didn't expect him to agree or go with me or nothing, but that's like the one solid thing. Actually, there's 2 solid things my dad did. Now that I'm thinking about it, he took me to the car lot. He traded that Trans Am in for me to get that Sunbird. And actually, when I was pregnant with Jayla and wasn't working while I was looking for a job, he paid my car note for several months because he co-signed for that car for me.
And perhaps, and I don't know that we've peeled
I
it.
never, I can like
Yeah,
until
we
you
haven't
like
ever
drudge
peeled that
up.
onion, but I think that was his way of saying he loved
sorry,
you.
I love
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
was like a substantive parental
Memory.
thing that he did for me, and he was there, and it meant more than I could ever express.
I can
And
see her now, all 98 of her teeth just.
Chiclets.
the 2 of you are not going to do this time. Okay. I cannot.
He said,
TT Teresa had valid anger, boy, because I've been in here slaving for the white man. And he just give you the. I feel you though. So
But it
that
was like his prized possession.
Oh,
So to her,
man.
she was really hurt because it
like, dang, I don't mean that much. To you
like
for
it
you
just
to-
was like. Well, and again, she was the oldest, so she had been out working
No,
and,
that's
and
like
trying to
Eric
survive and figuring
and
it.
Gabby
Yes.
Dawson getting a Range
Yes.
Rover for their first car.
Yeah,
He was all
yes.
like, yeah.
Take it back a notch. First of all,
Nah,
that is a
it-
2014,
It
and that
doesn't
was
didn't
matter.
matter.
It was
Yes.
a Range Rover for your first car.
Oh God.
Anyway.
Mug's
Anyway,
head.
let's not put that all over the.
I love Hoopy Down though. I love Hoopy.
you had a
Down.
1969. No, I'm just playing.
I don't care. I love me a Hoopty till the wheels fell off. Literally.
Literally.
Literally. That exhaust fell off. Literally. Anyway.
But I also want to because as we're having these conversations again for our audience, and particularly if you're just catching us and who we are and the intent of doing this for the first time. As Jayla gets situated.
It's like every time I get excited, the chairs start moving that way.
It's chiclet power.
and the point of diving behave. of diving
Did she just reprimand me?
into, because you was going to go way left again. You're crying because you're still laughing, and y'all will be sitting up here talking about chiclets for the rest of the time. And I mean, my goodness. Welcome
He
to
started
Pickens
it.
Realities and Blended Family Truths with, again, the free comedian over here and the cable, the hype woman
Unless she
over
called
here,
the
the
cable.
cabler,
She's gonna say
the
cable
cabler.
comedian.
No.
I'm back.
But the point here is that we want everyone to understand that unpacking is a very necessary part of healing and life and being a healthy blended family. Again,
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like unpacking with your children
yes.
Yeah, man.
will unpack stuff that you've done suppressed and haven't even thought about since it happened.
Fair point.
Because your
And
kids would really be wanting
ask
to know
the questions,
certain stuff,
right?
like-
And then ask questions. You go,
Well,
wait,
and
wait a
that's-
minute, you know.
that's
and
why-
it brings forth healing. It helps to go, because I haven't thought about that in years, and remembering that just gave me so much joy.
oh,
Remembering that there was a time where, again, while he was not, my dad just didn't talk like that. He just didn't. Right?
They go a car, don't say nothing else.
You know, he wasn't gonna, you know, but to have something to go, man, that I could point to.
Yeah, well, I didn't get that lavishness. I got a bike. So.
but the bike
But
was
the bike
the lavishness.
was, yeah.
No, yeah, it was again, it was my world.
Because I was just gonna ask, so for you, that bike was like your piece of like a glimmer of hope for you, like, okay, he does love me, he does
and I ain't
care
letting
about
nobody
me.
ride it. You couldn't look at it, and then it got stolen.
Dang,
Yeah, so
That's a travesty.
It did damage me, but you know, it happened.
so that happened in your teen years, I presume.
I was still a minor. I was
Under
grade
10.
grade school, junior high. Yeah.
I could only. So when did you guys move from Tennessee?
I was
Back
5.
and forth.
I was
You were
5.
5?
So we transitioned when I was 5, so 1975, 76, and then I would go back and forth every summer. I would work. Watch this. I would work in the cotton fields, picking wild cotton or actual cotton for summer. We would work from 5 in the morning till noon because it was hot as Hades, HE double hockey sticks after 12 o'clock. But I would do that in the summer to make money to buy my school clothes when I went back up north.
Right. And Grandma Susie was a maid, right? Or worked in people's homes.
Yeah, up until the time she had some medical issues. She actually worked in a factory called the Winter Garden.
Okay.
And she had some things. Well, when my uncle passed away, it caused a nervous breakdown, and she never worked after that. So she did small things here and there, but she didn't work after that. It was tough.
I didn't know that.
Yep. That was mom's oldest brother, Jeffrey. That was his dad. Yeah. So
You know, I always wondered how you and Uncle Jeffrey were related. I never knew how y'all were related. Like, I knew it was like maybe
actually
someone
cousin.
like Aunt Billy or like.
yeah,
It's
no.
actually cousin Jeffrey. He's not uncle.
We grew up together.
They're cousins. They
in
grew
the
up
same.
like brothers.
Yep.
But they were cousins.
Well, I'm still always call him Uncle Jeff. But I always wondered how
Yeah.
y'all were related. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know Grandma had an older brother.
she had 2 brothers. Uncle Charles and Uncle, his name was Irving Lee. And the crazy part is, now that I'm thinking about it, so remember we just started and I said my entire life I've lived in a blended family. So grandma, for the most part, when my mom was off in the Peace Corps, took care of Jeffrey and I. So that was blended as well. You know, and Jeff, no, it was. Think about it.
Yeah.
Because that's like Nova. If Nova's mom was just like, you know, or like, here, I gotta go work, like, take her, that would be.
Yeah. So technically, if she's hanging out here, we're bonus parents to her.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
You guys are Isabel's bonus parents, in my opinion.
Yeah. So
Jezebel, did we slip up here? No, that is Papa. That is not Dad.
That's my dad.
I mean,
No,
like,
baby.
no.
No, baby.
But you're fulfilling roles and stepping in. So
Yeah.
to the point of when you are in structures where it is not the solid traditional setting where it's both biological parents in the house with the child or children and raising them to where you go, oh, and present, to your point.
Yeah, and
so that's what we're describing, y'all. I'm sorry. I just want, when we're trying to help people understand and just talking about our experience as a blended family, and now it's like on 12 different levels, right? I mean, again, when it just really is across multiple ways and multiple sides, from different perspectives. It's okay, how do you unpack what you've experienced and what have we learned, and how do we take what we've learned and apply that, one, for us to continue to heal and grow and become closer and healthier as our own family unit, regardless of this podcast. But even more so, the reason why we're doing the podcast is to be able to have these conversations to get other people to start thinking and talking about this stuff, man.
Right.
Because when you look at, you said some of the same, and you weren't even sitting down here when Jayla and I talked about my dad. And I mean, of course, we've had very intimate conversations about the impact of me not growing up with my dad. And in my opinion, man, a girl not growing up with her father can just have, again, such severe consequences and ramifications. But in the same vein, same thing.
Yeah.
You not growing up with your dad.
When you don't have that male figure that says, hey, don't do that, or hey, you can do this, but up to a line, and
because we be talking to Izzy and Nova like blah 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 blah, and he come in the room and be like, hey, and they be like,
Yeah, I don't talk that much. I'm gonna just start popping. Like, she broke my glasses in half last night. My prescription glasses.
well, as her father, I'll pay for them.
oh, you stop.
At
Don't
least
do
somebody
that.
gonna
Don't
do
do
it.
that.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So what you got? What you got?
So, were there specific lessons or realizations that you gained from your delayed relationship with your father that influenced how you navigated challenges in your own family?
Yeah, there were, and I say this carefully. In some instances, I learned what not to do watching my dad.
I mean, don't say you say this carefully, because that's your
yeah.
reality.
No, yeah, it's my reality.
You say it respectfully.
Respectfully, I say it respectfully.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I love my granddad.
Yeah,
he was around. Period.
He was the
man.
bomb. He was the bomb. He used to always give you guys money every time we went down there. And actually, Jaylen asked me one time. He said, "Hey, he's like that. Why does Grandpa Billy always give us money every single time when we go to visit?" And I said, "That's his way of filling the gap that he didn't fill for me." And there would be times before you all came along. Or if you guys were not with us, or even when you were extremely young,
He would send it back with us.
He would send it
give
back.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Or he would do something like, we come into town, and as a farmer, he had access to fuel. He would make certain that we had a full tank of gas before he left. He did certain things to say, I missed it, but I'm trying to make up for it.
I'll never forget them pancakes.
Oh, here we go.
Them pancakes. I can literally smell his house
Yeah.
in those pancakes. That
So-
bus.
So one of the things, there were a few that I can recall. One time there was an issue going on. He really sincerely helped me when he said to me, I called him, your mom and I were having issues. And I called
Jerry?
him. Yeah,
Or Jessica?
Jerry.
Okay.
Jerry, your mom, Jerry,
Before
and I.
me. Yeah.
And I called him because we were on the outs. And I said, Dad, we're having this issue. I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about leaving. I want to stay. I don't know what to do. And he just calmly said to me, he said, you do not have to live in the household with your children to be a father. And it blew me away. And I'm like, But it was like really impactful. And there's only a couple of times that I called him and he didn't waver in his statement. It was a quick statement, but it made sense. There was a time when your grandpa and I were in business together.
Other grandpa.
Yeah, your other grandpa.
Other grandpa.
Yeah,
Mom's dad.
Yeah. And so,
my granddad.
so I was having some issues with how he was doing things, and I was thinking about walking away. And I called him. I was like, Dad, I ran it down to him. And as soon as I stopped talking, he said, the Bible says in business be men. And I was like, dang. I mean, he'd just be like, bing, nugget, walk away. But one of the most, and I don't want to get emotional, but one of the most, and it happened when he was passing away. I had never seen him on his back. Never. He was always standing. He was always working strong. Never seen him on his back. And one of the last conversations we had, he was lying there in the bed, and I think he passed away a day or two after that. I was holding his hand, and he said to me, he said, you got a pretty strong grip. And he used to call me Chip off the old block because everybody says I look like him. Mm-hmm. And as I'm holding his hand, and I hope and pray that I have this much courage and this much strength and a whole bunch of other words that I can't think of that would illustrate how I felt in this moment. But he said to me, as I was about to walk out the room and we were talking, he told me I had a strong grip. And I was like, yeah, I get it from you. He's like, yeah, I know, the chip off the old block. You know, and I can't remember what else happened. But what I recall as I was about to leave the room, he said to me, again, without any hesitation, he just looked at me. He said, I'm in God's hands now. And that just gave me, that was one thing. But in my mind, I saw an S on his chest, and he just stuck his chest out. He's like, come get me. I'm done. He knew, and he said, I'm in God's hands. He was like, this is it. It's a wrap. You know, it's kind of like a mosquito running into a windshield. He can see the windshield, and he just run right into it. And Dad stuck his chest out and walked in. And I was like, man. And the other thing, several days before this happened, we were sitting at Uncle Derek's house. And we're talking about his will. We're talking about all these things. And we had discord with now his widow. And he staunchly said, as long as she is alive, you cannot take that house. As long as she's alive, you will still respect her, no matter what has happened. And that gave me so much respect for him as a husband that he said, regardless of how things went, he meant it till death do us part. And he stood up for her. And so those two things taught me about his character. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what happened way back then, his character stood steadfast in those final days. And I learned, and my brother and I were talking about it, and we're like, man, if we learned nothing else in those last few days, he showed who he was at his core. He was a man of God, a man of faith, and he believed in the institution
and
of marriage.
integrity.
Yeah, integrity. Yeah. So
he did what he said.
Yeah. And so blended wise, I took that from him, and then from my bonus, one of the things that he said to me, and it's odd that I'm remembering this now, that I was standing at both their bedsides and had conversations with both of them before.
Very close to before they passed.
They passed. And one of the things that he said to me was my bonus, because we hadn't talked in like 14 years because there was discord there. And he said to me, you're laughing about discord?
Cheese
Right.
in his bag when I first met him and he came to the house and you and Renee were cracking up so hard
He
because apparently
always
he traveled
with his cheese
and summer sausage.
cheese, summer sausage, and a knife.
That's a dangerous thing.
And
Right.
But he was in the army, so
Right.
he was
for
ready for
sure,
whatever.
he pulled that cheese out his bag, and your dad was no more good. And I was like, did he just pull cheese out of his bag? So he was absolutely resourceful.
Yeah, he was always. And I remember that night because
He
we
came to Cap when we lived on Capitol.
we had
before
Discord.
We moved to the other house.
We reconnected, and I remember
And you were so happy.
he had
You were
not
so grateful.
he had not met you all, and he was seeing his grandchildren for the first time, and he went down in the basement, and I was showing him, the basement, and he said, "Who did this?" And I was like, "I did." I mean, it wasn't top notch because I've learned a lot since then. We did the
We're not gonna
We
talk
did the
about
carpet.
the
and-
carpet, the
and
walls,
put
the framing, and
I
all
remember
that. He said, "Who did this?" I said, "I
Built those
did."
bunk beds.
And he asked me, he said, "Who taught you? Where'd you get this from?" And I just looked at him. I said, "You." And I did. And he just got emotional. But one of the things that he said to me when he was lying there in the hospital, he said to me, he said, "I've been watching you this entire time that we haven't talked." He had all of he had been following my football games, track, everything that I had done that made the paper, from football to track to, scholarship stuff, whatever. He kept it. I only got like one and a half scholarship, but he had it.
Scholarship to McDonald's.
I was like, scholarships? Do tell.
And I played football from the time I was in the 7th grade till the time I was a senior in high school. And he only came to 2 of those football games. Once in like junior high and once senior night when I was in high school. We lost the game by 1 touchdown, and it was a ball that I dropped. I should have been, I should have made the touchdown.
Loser. No.
But
That is so wrong. Take it back.
you are no longer the elite. But he had that article. He had it, And so to sum it up, I learned so much from both of them that I am a better father, that I am a better son, a better husband. She don't think so every day, but I learned.
Gotta think so, because you have your maid outfit on like you always do, baby.
Anyway, but I learned more than I could even imagine, having a bio and a bonus, and having been in a blended family my entire life. It has really taught me how to handle people and understand that people are 3-dimensional when you have so many different things that you can get. You laughing at me?
I was gonna ask. I was getting ready to turn into Jayla. It's okay. I was gonna ask which one of them taught you how to choke out kids real good.
My bio,
Both of
my bonus.
Your bonus.
My bonus. I'm just being honest.
No, for real. Okay, so did your experience without your dad? Listen, y'all, I'm having a hard time seeing what I wrote. Okay, thank you, Isabel. Did your experience without your dad push you to overcompensate, avoid certain behaviors, or create specific parenting values within your blended family?
Yes.
How? Why? What?
I overcompensated because I wanted to make certain that I was there.
What was your overcompensation? That's what I want to know.
And which set of kids? And I mean this with like, are you talking
yeah.
about from the beginning, first marriage with your
Both.
original
Both.
set of 3 bios?
Both.
You
Both.
add Jaylen to the mix, who
Both.
Gabby
you wanted to
Dawson.
set on an island half
All.
the time, and then here come the other 2.
So if we go backwards, I tried. My goal was to get it right with Dawson and Gabby. It was
Right.
my goal to get it right. I had.
Were you kind of parenting more out of fear
Yeah,
with the top 4? You think? I
Yeah,
mean, we talked
and-
a little
and
bit about this, but
I had. I didn't have the whole picture back then.
So then you feel like with
Explain
Gabby
that.
and Dawson, now you got the mom, the dad, the house, disability, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Or what picture? Because so you're, I don't
so-
think it's materialistic.
Yeah, no, it's
or
not materialistic. I saw both of them from afar, and I didn't get to understand them.
Meaning both your dads.
Both my bio and my
So you were
bonus.
missing the core elements.
Yeah, I didn't get a
in the
chance
beginning.
to have the whole picture until further in life.
When you got older and like when you were able to have adult conversations with Dad Billy.
Yeah,
And I know
mean,
it was short lived with your dad Willie.
yeah. So
Billy and Willie.
who knew?
Yeah, it's the names because my mom, dad's name is Willie. So
So yeah,
it's that
it
generation.
on the bio side. Like I said, I wanted to make certain that I was there, so I endured. Your mom and I went through a lot of stuff, issues.
Because
So
you guys were children.
yeah, we were very young, and so I was trying to make certain that I didn't show up like he did. That I showed up like he didn't show up.
Okay.
And so I overcompensated. I made certain, of X, Y, and Z.
The
And-
other two were avoid certain behaviors or create specific parenting values as well.
So I want to throw this in there. And so with Willie, which is why we had that 14-year gap, it was a very tumultuous relationship.
Tumultuous, verbally, mentally,
Both.
physically, all of them.
All of them.
Okay.
All of them. And I had one family member on his side of the family say to me, Aunt Rosetta, JJ's mom, she said to me when he was passing it and we went to the hospital, and she looked at me, she hadn't seen me in forever, and she looked at me, she said, I don't know how you made it. And I was just like, what do you mean? And so we relived some of the things, the abuse, verbal, physical. It was challenging. But she was like, I don't know how you made it. I don't know how you turned out so well. And so
Grace of God.
when you again go back from that moment, you go back to your mom and I, Jerry and I, she knew and had experienced some of the stuff, the verbal and the physical that he and I, were butting heads. And I remember one time she and I got into it. I don't recall what it was about, but I do recall what she said, which hurt me to my core. Mm-hmm. We lived on Brown, 1416 East Brown, and we were going at it. And she looked at me. We were in this heated exchange. And she said to me,